What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So it's been a while since we've done this, but I'm back with another breakdown of the recent pop culture news that's happened in the past. Usually supposed to be a week, but I'll go the past 2 or 3 weeks just because I've had a lot going on and haven't really had a time to upload a video, especially since these require a lot more research and more in-depth analysis, you could say. That said, I'm ready to get started here. I'm going to start talking about Marvel and some news that's happened the past few weeks. Starting off with Spider-Man 4 being heavily rumored and in some ways kind of confirmed even to be more or less a direct sequel to the upcoming Venom Last Dance film that actually comes out later this week. I'll be doing a review, by the way, this Thursday night. Just keep a lookout for that. But anyways, all that to say, Spider-Man 4 and Venom have one thing in common apparently, and it's going to be that Noel is going to be a major factor in both of those films. We saw him in the trailer and we heard his name briefly mentioned, but we've had this more or less confirmed now that, yeah, Noel's going to be the big bad kind of in the new Venom film. And then going off of that in Spider-Man 4, which is rumored to be called The King in Black. I don't really know how much validity there is to that, but if the rumors about Noel are true, then yeah, that could definitely be a title for that. Anyways, yeah, so Venom Spider-Man, we'll call it King in Black for now, I guess, is going to have Noel, and apparently he might even show up in Secret Wars to some capacity, or Doomsday, I don't remember, one of the Avenger films. It's like rumored to have him, though I would definitely take that with a grain of salt. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. I've waited for Noel a long time. I remember when he was heavily rumored to appear in Thor Love and Thunder because of his connection to the sword that Gore the God Butcher has. Clearly that didn't pan out, but I am excited and hopefully they're going to do him justice. Going on, Spider-Man, more Spider-Man news you could say. Spider-Man Noir, aka the show that I really didn't think was going to get made. Like, no joke, I legitimately did not think, like, I knew it was announced, but I was like, no, that's just going to fall through the pipeline. And then the fallout with Phil Lord and Chris Miller that happened a couple months back, I was like, I don't think Sony's going to go through with this. But we did get our first test footage, or not really test footage, I guess set photos, you could say, a week or so ago. And it's hard to really go off of anything plot-wise, but we basically see Nicolas Cage, of course, playing Spider-Man Noir. We see him out of costume, kind of bending over. Looks like he's investigating a case or something, which would definitely make sense for that character. So I'm definitely excited to see how this pans out. I mean, it's hard to really go off anything again, but it looks like it's going to have kind of a dark, gritty, crime-esque vibe to it. I think the big question a lot of people have is whether or not this is going to be the Spider-Man Noir from the Spider-Verse film or a different variant. It's tough to say. I could see it going either way. For now, though, I would probably say it's going to be the same version, or at least a very, very similar version to the Spider-Verse one, only because we're getting Nick Cage to play him, and it's the one that most fans are familiar with. And yeah, I guess last, for some reason, there's just been a lot of Spider-Man news this past few weeks. Andrew Garfield wants to return as Spider-Man, saying that it would bring so much joy to people and he would 100% do it in a heartbeat. I don't know if that confirms that he's going to show up in Spider-Man 4, which I've kind of mentioned before, how I'm not really keen on them introducing Andrew, or bringing back Andrew and Toby for another round in Spider-Man 4. It would just feel like a gimmick at this point if you do it right after No Way Home. But if it's a Spider-Man or Amazing Spider-Man 3, then I'd be totally down for that. I'm not playing. Like, I've always been a defender of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man films, from when I watched them when I was younger to even now that they're starting to get more of the recognition that I feel like they deserve. And I've always enjoyed them, especially the Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think it's one of the most underrated comic book films of all time. So for me personally, I would love it if he comes back to do an Amazing Spider-Man 3. But I would take this to mean I've never doubted that he would be back to some extent, but I'm sure he's going to show up in either Doomsday or probably Secret Wars. But yeah, I guess, this is more or less a tease that he's coming back in some capacity. Could be sooner, could be later, but I would assume probably in the next 3 or 4 years we're going to get more Andrew Garfield Spider-Man some way or the other. And last but not least for our major Marvel news, Captain America Brave New World test screenings. Y'all probably heard about this a week or two ago. Apparently they didn't go so well, and that's kind of a bummer, at least for me, because I was really looking forward to this film. Now, I do want to preface by saying this, I don't know if y'all remember, like a year or so ago, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, there was a report, I think from the same website, saying that it had gone disastrous. Insiders were saying this was a stinker. And I don't know if y'all have seen the film or not, but most people actually seem to either really like or love that movie. So this is one of those things, again, where you kind of want to take it with a grain of salt. But with the Brave New World test screening that they had, this seems like it's a little more detailed, so there may or may not be some validity to it. And also, like, some things that were rumored seem to be confirmed to happen in this movie. And yeah, again, I'm just, take it with a grain of salt, guys. But it is disheartening, whether it's true or not, because, it's like, new Captain America movie, they saw it wasn't working, the original test screenings, which I do believe those were actually real, because it wouldn't explain why you go back and reshoot basically the entire film over again if people seem to like your movie. So they realized something wasn't working, and they go back, they reshoot, they change up the story, I guess, to some extent, and now people are saying that the other version was potentially better. So yeah, I don't know, but there's not a lot I can really comment on. I'm still going to go in and be optimistic. They got like 4 months to add, change, adjust where needed. I mean, they can't obviously reshoot a movie again. Neither do I think they're going to, but hopefully they can tighten it up just a bit to kind of make this movie the best possible version that it can be. And again, I'm just hoping my boy Red Hulk finally gets justice. Anyways, that's all for the Marvel news. Let's move on to some DC news. And I think some of the biggest news we've gotten in the past few weeks is that Kyle Chandler has been cast as Green Lantern alongside Aaron Pierre as John Stewart. And, well, let me clarify. Kyle Chandler, Hal Jordan, Aaron Pierre, John Stewart. We are getting both versions in the show, and I am pretty excited to see both. I mean, I love both Hal Jordan and John Stewart. And I know realistically Kyle Chandler isn't much older than Josh Brolin, who I really didn't think was going to be a good fit for Green Lantern. He just didn't really look a good age for it. But with Kyle Chandler, even though he's the same age, he does look younger, and I feel like, 57, 58, however old he is, I could give him at least a solid 6 to 10 years at most, probably, as this character. So I think we'll see him around, and then obviously you got Aaron Pierre, which I think is quite a bit younger than Kyle Chandler. So I wouldn't be mad if he ends up becoming the main Green Lantern, because who doesn't love John Stewart? And he is popular in the animated shows, and in some ways he's more popular than Hal Jordan, depending on who you ask. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this show. I've heard it's going to be like grounded with some sci-fi elements. It's going to be like a very buddy cop vibe to it. And I'm just glad we're getting more Lantern content personally. So yeah, I guess another big thing I can say is David Zaslav, the WB CEO, he's pushing for more Batman in DCU. And I can't blame him, because historically speaking, Batman films and maybe Superman films are like the only kind of DC movies that make any sort of money, especially here lately. I mean, I think the Batman is like one of the few DC movies to actually make a profit, and probably since the 2020s. So I don't blame him for it, but I think what kind of scares me in this scenario is that he's pushing for Pattinson's Batman in particular to be in the main continuity. In other words, the Batman is going to more or less be the first DCU film, I guess, in retrospect. And I don't like that very much, guys. I'm going to be real with you. I'm hoping this is false. I really am. And well, I don't think it's necessarily false per se. I do think Matt Reeves, because originally Matt Reeves had come out and said that he wanted this to be in its own separate continuity. And personally, I just don't feel the vibe that this would really play well in the same world as Superman, Green Lantern. I really like this version to be in its own separate continuity. And considering that Matt Reeves has given us now, well, 3-0, because I did like Cape Crusader, but even just going off the strict Reeves verse with the Penguin and the Batman being 2-0 in my mind, I think he has enough clout now to where he could go up to Zaslav and be like, yeah, I'm not doing this. And probably not get reprimanded or fired or anything. And I feel like James Gunn, too, he has his own Batman set up. He's wanting to do the Batman Brave and the Bold in the next couple years. That's supposedly like a, I guess, older Batman training a Damian Wayne or whatever. And I have some thoughts on that. That's a different video for a different time. But I don't think there's a whole lot of validity to this. I mean, is it true? Yes. Potentially. But at the same time, I don't see it being a very good likelihood that we're going to get Pattinson in the main DCU continuity. In fact, I'm pretty sure I heard Robert Pattinson himself say he wasn't even interested in joining a major franchise or a crossover franchise like that. But anyways, I guess the last thing I can say for DC is Superman and Lois had its first 2-episode premiere, I guess, last week. They dropped, 2 weeks ago now, I guess. They dropped their 3rd episode the other week. I've seen all 3 episodes, and I gotta say, guys, and I've said this pretty much since episode 1 of season 1 of the show dropped, it's the best show y'all aren't watching. Like, it's one of those shows to where the few people that are watching it are absolutely digging it, and those that aren't are like completely, in my opinion, missing out. I mean, I love this series. I think Tyler Hoechlin's great as Superman. I think it has some great family drama. The acting's incredible across the board. Great storylines. It feels like a combination of both Henry Cavill's more realistic, grittier Superman while also maintaining some of that Christopher Reeve's atmosphere, some of the hopefulness and joy, and it's just a wonderful show. I mean, season 3 in particular was probably my favorite single season of any comic book show since Daredevil season 3. I mean, it's that good. So yeah, that's my shameless plug. Go watch this amazing show. The first 3 seasons are on Max. So far, the first 3 episodes of what they're saying is now the final season. Meaning, don't worry guys, it's not going to end on a cliffhanger. Yeah, season 4 is off to a great start as well. So just go watch it, guys, and let me know what you think in the comments down below when you do. And I guess the last thing I got for today is I have finally finished watching season 2 of The Rings of Power. I know its finale dropped probably about a month ago at this point. I watched it the other day. Overall, I did enjoy it. It definitely has some pacing issues, specifically in the first half of the season, that I think really brought down the first season as a whole. But I will say those last 2 or 3 episodes really picked up the pace. I mean, there were epic battles, there were rousing speeches, great character moments, some very shocking character deaths even that I'm not going to give away here. And it really felt like those last 3 or 4 episodes in particular really felt to me as though they were trying to make this like the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings. Like, it felt more in line with that than I think anything we had seen so far. Again, I wouldn't say it's better or even on that same level to some extent, but I will say there is one particular battle. I think it's in the it might be either the penultimate episode or the one before it, I can't remember, but either way there's a big battle and it's very reminiscent of Helm's Deep from the Two Towers, and I can't really say it tops it, but it comes really darn close. Like, I think y'all are gonna really eat up that fight scene, or the battle scene in particular. It takes up like an entire episode. Just very engaging, very well choreographed, great visual effects. So basically, if I had to give a quick rating for Rings of Power Season 2, I think I'm going to go with a 6.5 out of 10. It's solid. I really enjoyed seeing the backstory of Sauron. Again, I love the character moments, the action. There just is some pacing issues in the first like 4 or 5 episodes of this series, but the last 3 or 4 really show that this is the point of no return for this series. And with the season 3 being announced and Amazon saying, yeah, we're pretty much gonna go through our plan as long as people keep watching the show, I think we're gonna see Rings of Power have its brightest days ahead of them. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for today. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below what your most anticipated Marvel, DC, really anything related to pop culture content is coming out soon. And as always, guys, thank you for watching. I'll catch you all later. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. If you liked what you've seen here and you want to see more, please feel free to like, subscribe, share, and check out my other videos in the link in the description down below. And I will see you all later.